It is a plexus of nerves. So it arises from the cervical nerves and first thoracic nerves. So the nerves arising from the spinal cord. So here is the spinal cord. It is the anterior part and posterior part. So from the anterior part, from the spinal cord, two roots are arises. So ventral root and dorsal root. So these two roots are united and it forms the spinal nerve. Okay. So the ventral root, it is a motor root, and dorsal root, it is a sensory root. So both roots are united and it forms the spinal nerve. So the spinal nerve, it has a both fibers, motor fiber and sensory fiber. Then the nerve is divided into ventral ramus and dorsal ramus. So here one is the ventral ramus and dorsal ramus. It is a section, transverse section at the level of the thorax, anteriorly sternum, posteriorly vertebra, body of the vertebra. Here we can see the spinal cord. It has a ventral root, dorsal root, and these two are united and it gives the ventral ramus and dorsal ramus. So this dorsal ramus supplies the back muscle, vertebral muscles, and the ventral ramus supplies the anterior muscle, the muscle on the anterior aspect. So the brachial plexus, it is divided into, or it consists of the root, trunk, division, cord and branches. So here we can see the brachial plexus arises from the roots, from the 5th spinal nerve, 6, 7, 8 and T1, thoracic nerve. So the brachial plexus, it is formed by the ventral rami of the, ventral rami of the spinal nerve. So remember this, it arises from the ventral rami of the spinal nerve. So it arises from the ventral rami of the 5, 6, 7, 8 and T1 spinal nerve. So it is divided into root, trunk, division, core and branches. So we can have the ventral rami or anterior primary rami of the spinal nerve, C5 to C8 and T1. And it has a supraclavicular part and infraclavicular part. So when we see this is the C5 root, C6, C7, C8 and T1 root. So the first two roots and last two roots united and it forms the trunk. So it has a upper trunk, middle trunk and lower trunk. The first two roots and last two roots are united. So the first two roots united to form the upper trunk, C7 continues as a middle trunk and C8 and T1 united to form the lower trunk. And the division. So it divides into all the trunk, upper, middle and lower trunk divided into ventral and dorsal division. Upper trunk, ventral division, dorsal division. Middle trunk, ventral division, dorsal division. The division. Then the chords. So chords, it has a medial cord, lateral cord and posterior cord. So the posterior cord is formed by all the posterior division. All the posterior division, it united and it forms the posterior cord. Okay, so the trunk is divided into ventral division, dorsal division, ventral division, dorsal division, ventral division and dorsal division. So all the dorsal division united and it forms the posterior cord. Now how the medial cord is formed? So ventral division of the upper trunk and middle trunk, ventral division united and it forms the lateral cord. It forms the lateral cord. The lateral cord, this one is the lateral cord, this is posterior cord and this is the medial cord. So the lower trunk continues as a medial cord. So the lower cord continues as a medial cord. And the branches. Then there is branches arising from the medial cord, branches arises from the lateral cord, medial cord and posterior cord. So the brachial plexus is the brachial plexus. It has a supraclavicular part, infraclavicular part and the part lies behind the clavicle. So all the structures, neurovascular structures, enters into the through the apex of the axilla. So apex is formed by the first rib. There is a space between the first rib, behind the clavicle, and upper border of the scapula. So the structures enters into the arm through the space. Here it is a axillary space. So the root and trunk lies above the clavicle. Then division that lies behind the clavicle, and the cord, lateral cord, medial cord, and posterior cord, and its branches lies below the clavicle. So once again, C5 root, ventral ramus or anterior ramus of the C5, C6, C7, C8, and T1 root. So both root, upper two root united from the upper trunk, lower two root united from the lower trunk, and C7 continues as a middle trunk. Then the upper trunk divided into anterior division, posterior division. This is a division. Middle trunk divided into ventral division and dorsal division. Then the lower trunk divided into ventral division, and this is the dorsal division. So all the dorsal division united, and it forms the posterior cord. Then the ventral division of the upper trunk and middle trunk united to form the lateral cord, and ventral division of the lower trunk, it continues as a medial trunk. So two things to remember: C7 root continues as a middle trunk, and the division, only one division from the medial cord, is the ventral division continuing, and it forms the medial cord. So the brachial plexus, the division lies posterior to the clavicle. So it is the retroclavicular part. Infraclavicular part, it is the three cords and its branches. Then see the branches from the roots. So root from the C5 to C7 root arises now to serratus anterior. Then from the C5 root arises the muscular branches. So they supplies the rhomboidus muscle. It is a muscle of the leg and the neck muscles. Then from the C4 now arises the phrenic nerve. Gives branches to the phrenic nerve. So phrenic nerve supplies the diaphragm. So see the branches from the root. So muscular branches from the C5 branch to the phrenic nerve. Then there is a branch from the C5 root. It is a dorsal scapular nerve. C5 root arises a dorsal scapular nerve. And from the C5, C6, and C7 arises the long thoracic nerve. So the long thoracic nerve from the C5 dorsal scapular nerve, and from the C5 root C5, C6, and C7, it is a long thoracic nerve, and it is also known as the nerve to serratus anterior. It is known as the long thoracic nerve or nerve to serratus anterior. Branches from the upper trunk. Now the trunk, branches from the trunk. So upper trunk, only upper trunk gives the branches. It is the suprascapular nerve and nerve to the subclavius. So the suprascapular nerve supplies the supraspinatus and infraspinatus muscle. And nerve to subclavius supplies the subclavius muscle. Now the branches from the cord. So branches from the lateral cord. So lateral cord is formed by the ventral division of the upper trunk and middle trunk. So trunk is divided into upper, middle, and lower trunk. Division is ventral and dorsal division. So the ventral division of the upper and middle trunk, it forms the lateral cord. So three branches are from the lateral cord. That is a lateral pectoral nerve, musculocutaneous nerve, and lateral root of median nerve. So these three LML, remember the LML, branches from the lateral cord. Lateral pectoral nerve, musculocutaneous nerve, and lateral root of median nerve. So the root value, remember the root value for the lateral cord is C5, C6, and C7. For the older nerve, the root value is C5, C6, and C7. So branches from the posterior cord. Branches from the medial cord. So the medial cord branches is medial pectoral nerve, medial cutaneous nerve of arm, medial cutaneous nerve of forearm, and ulnar nerve. And the medial pectoral nerve. And the median root of median nerve. So this root is the median root of median nerve. This is the median root of median nerve. This one is the lateral root of median nerve, and both united, and it forms the median nerve. So branches from the medial cord is the median root of median nerve, medial pectoral nerve, medial cutaneous nerve of arm, medial cutaneous nerve of forearm, and ulnar nerve. So you can remember as 4M and U. So M4U, mnemonics. Okay. So branch from the medial cord, it is medial pectoral nerve, medial cutaneous nerve of arm, medial cutaneous nerve of forearm, median root of median nerve, and ulnar nerve. When we remember, the root value of the medial cord is C8 to T1. So root value of medial cord is, so fiber arises from the C8 and T1 root. So except for the ulnar nerve. So its root value is C7, C8, and T1. Why the median nerve, ulnar nerve, the root value is C7, C8, and T1? Because the fiber from the ulnar nerve, it also arises from the C7, root C7. This is the pathway for the C7. So root value of the ulnar nerve is C8, T1, and C7. So branches from the posterior cord. upper subscapular nerve, lower subscapular nerve, nerve to latissimus dorsi, axillary nerve, and radial nerve. Branches of the posterior cord: upper subscapular nerve, nerve to latissimus dorsi, lower subscapular nerve, axillary nerve, and the posterior cord is continuous as a radial nerve. So upper subscapular nerve, nerve to latissimus dorsi, lower subscapular nerve, axillary nerve, and radial nerve. These are the branches of the posterior cord. So the root value of the posterior cord, it is for the root value for the upper subscapular nerve is C5 and C6. For the upper subscapular, lower subscapular, and the axillary nerve, the root value is C5 and C6. And for the nerve to latissimus dorsi, it is C6, C7, and C8. And it is also known as the thoracodorsal nerve. Nerve to latissimus dorsi, it is also known as the thoracodorsal nerve. And the radial nerve supplies, it receives root from all the roots of the brachial plexus. So it is a C5, C6, 7, 8, and T1. So you can remember the mnemonics as a star. So S for subscapular nerve, T for thoracodorsal nerve, A for axillary nerve, and R for radial nerve. So subscapular nerve is upper subscapular nerve, lower subscapular nerve. In between two there is a T for thoracodorsal nerve, A for axillary nerve, and R for radial nerve. The upper subscapular nerve root value C5, C6. Now to latissimus dorsi for thoracodorsal nerve, lower subscapular nerve root value is C5 and C6. Axillary nerve root value is C5 and C6. And radial nerve root value is 5, 6, 5, 6, 6, 7, 8, and T1. Here is the relation of the brachial plexus. So when we see the second part of the axillary artery, it lies behind the pectoralis minor muscles. Second part of axillary artery, so lateral to the axillary artery, this is the medial part and this is the lateral part. So the axillary artery, lateral to the second part, it is a lateral cord. Medial to the second part of axillary artery, it is a medial cord. And posterior to the axillary artery, it is a posterior cord. So below the pectoralis minor, around the second part of the axillary artery, the arrangement is medially medial cord, laterally lateral cord, and posteriorly posterior. And just below that, it forms a M pattern. When you trace this M pattern, so the median nerve. So median nerve is formed by the medial root that arises from the medial cord, and lateral root that arises from the lateral cord. So this is the median nerve. Okay, so this one is the median nerve. It forms by the two roots. So here we can see the M pattern. So M pattern. So medial to the M. So between the M. So both the M converge. This M, it forms a median nerve, and here laterally it is a musculocutaneous nerve. Extension of the M. It is a musculocutaneous nerve, and when we trace the M medially, it is a ulnar nerve. So this pattern you can see in the dissection. Okay. So when you see the M pattern, first identify the median nerve by the two roots. Okay, in the middle, and the lateral it is a musculocutaneous nerve, and medial it is an ulnar nerve. Medial to the axillary artery, it is the ulnar nerve. So ulnar nerve is medial.